Hey, what's up, guys? Want to welcome you out to another episode of According to Kaz Queen, episode number 42. And as always, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is this little podcast of ours. Of course, conversations that take place between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys in public, if you will, to make you laugh, to make you think, to make you be introspective. But as always, to open the lines of communication between men and women, husband and wives, friends and lovers, all those good things in between, man. We want to, again, extend our great appreciation for you people that have been tuning in and joining us on this podcast journey and checking us out on YouTube and on the streaming services. Of course, you can hear us on all streaming services. All right, we're on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, we are there. And of course, we are on Black with No Chaser Radio. So all you got to do is download the app. You know the drill by now. Just download the BWNC radio app on the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. Make sure you check us out on Black with No Chaser and all of the other great podcasts that you can check out there as well. And of course, if you love seeing our bright, shiny faces, all you got to do is, of course, when I put my finger right here, bam, just subscribe to that YouTube channel right there, all right? Make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel. For those of you listening to us, that is Brad Kamikaze Franklin. I'm sorry. Got a brain fart.
Say it again.
YouTube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. All right. YouTube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. Of course, there's a lot of great content on that channel. Not just According to Kaz Queen, but the Good Things Jackson show as well. You can see a lot of the other content that is on that page, man. We are inching our way towards 1,000 subscribers, man. So make sure that you subscribe, turn on the notifications, hit the little bell on the side, and it'll let you know every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You'll be able to listen to According to Kaz and Queen. And as always, this show is brought to you by the Kundi Collection. Shouts out to everybody, man, in the past week, man, that has ordered from the Kundi Collection. Shouts out to my man, Carlos Miller, for showing love. That one picture, man. We had a lot of orders. I was working the whole weekend getting those orders out and getting to the post office to get those orders out on Friday, man. We appreciate all of you who have purchased the t-shirt. And if you have not, all you got to do is go to the website, all right, www.kundicollective.com. It's www.kundicollective.com. If you're watching us, if you're listening, that's KUNDICOLLECTIVE, kundicollective.com. I'm wearing a shirt right now. This is one of the favorites that we did right at the beginning of the pandemic when we started putting these t-shirts in full effect, man. The Black and Proud. So you can go to the website. You can get you one of these, man. We got a lot of designs for any state of mind. So make sure that you do that. And we appreciate you guys for all of the support going forward. It's been a crazy week. It's been a lot of things happening. We talked about a lot of stuff amongst ourselves, but this has been week one of being puppy grandparents. This has been about a week and a few days of being puppy grandparents. If you were not tuned in to the last show, we now have a new fur baby in the house by the name of Rocco T'Challa Franklin. All right, nice little cute little puppy. If you've been checking us out on social media, you can go and you get a chance to see a little puppy in the flesh. Stirring up a lot of, I don't want to say emotions, but, memories of us being, puppy moms and dads early on in our marriage. And all of the mistakes that we made at that time, and kind of like we did in real life with the
it is
with the kind of like we did with the human kids as well, with the grown kids. Made a lot of mistakes, a lot of parenting mistakes, and are trying to correct those now with the little one, and now being puppy grandparents.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's funny that way. So, I mean, your assessment in this first week. How do you think it has gone? How do you think the little one is done with the puppy? Has life been disrupted any?
No, but I was intentional about letting her get her feet wet with it without inserting myself. That's been the most difficult part. Just wanting to get in there and do it myself as far as training and being consistent. she's going to have to, learn how to do that and to be a little, forceful with her voice, or at least getting the authority in her voice. But she's getting there. She's getting there. When she get tired of, going up behind them cleaning up, I assume she'll learn that. But I also don't want to wait too late to train the puppy, because I've seen how that works out as well. So I was intentional about giving our daughter this week to kind of work it out for herself.
It is definitely a learning experience, a learning responsibility early on. We had several talks with her before the puppy actually made it here. We talked amongst ourselves and kind of explained to her the responsibility that it takes, because it does. Setting a regimen, setting a schedule, learning to be forceful. Our little one is not. She's not one for the
she's
loud.
Mild-mannered.
She's extremely mild-mannered. I don't know if that's going to continue on, because I don't know where she could have possibly gotten that gene from. In a household with us, it's probably, a little difficult, That's weird, because we're not soft-spoken in that sense, especially, when it came to, training the last dogs that we had, or just speaking in general. But, it's like a challenge for her to say no to the puppy, challenge for her to be forceful with the puppy, and to say things sternly with the puppy. She's kind of just letting them do his thing.
She's getting acclimated for one, but the most real thing is that her personality is really easygoing. So she's very empathetic, and she has a whole lot of feeling about how people take things, and she doesn't want to hurt the puppy's feelings and all of this kind of stuff. So she's just going to have to learn how to do that. But we also have to understand that she's not like us in that regard, and we got to let her be who she is, and she'll figure it out.
Yeah. And, there was some moments of frustration. First couple of days, there was a little sleep deprivation, as the dog was being a little restless during the night. And sleep deprivation will get you at any age. So, waking up and still being a little sleepy, having to deal. I remember that, I won't say fondly, but I will remember those memories of her when she was a baby, waking up and being sleep deprived, having to get up. My wife, y'all, started out breastfeeding. Okay, I'm going to tell the story. I have a lot of little quirky anecdotes that you're going to hear from time to time on this podcast. My wife was breastfeeding. She started out breastfeeding. I'll let her kind of tell you how that went. But she demanded that I get up with her to watch her breastfeed. I myself, not having breasts or lactating myself, there was nothing that I could add to that exercise at all. There was nothing that I could offer in that moment, because I did not have milk to offer the child. She just wanted me to be up, and I would just sit there and I would just watch her breastfeed. She could not fathom the thought of me continuing to sleep while she was breastfeeding. So there was a lot of tense moments and a lot of sleep deprivation.
I can't believe you said that. That's not true.
That is true.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't recall that.
You know what? It's a lot of stuff that happened, during the 9 months and, shortly after our child was born, that, have somehow just escaped your memory. You just blacked out. Do you
think you believe me, though, that I don't believe that I don't
believe
remember,
that you
right?
don't remember, because there are some things that you don't remember. You wild out. I'm talking about you wild out. It was crazy.
I was not really myself. That's why I tell people, be careful. I was one of those seasoned mothers by the time I had her.
It's 14 years between kids.
Yeah,
for us.
and
Yes.
I was 21 when I had my first one. I was spry and energetic and ready for the world, and, on top of my P's and Q's, and he never got out of my eyesight and all of that. By the time we had the second one, honey, look, life had happened. I was tired. My body was tired. I was, like I was high risk at the end. It was different. It was really different. So I tell people, you know, nowadays people are having babies much later in life than when I first had my baby. But
medical procedures allow for that now.
Sure. Yes. And people are taking better care of themselves physically. So that's I think so. People are more informed now. Now that we have social media and we get to see people doing things to take care of themselves, and their tips and nutritionalists, and you know, so the world is just kind of different than it was when I was 21. So I was just a different person in a different place, and I kind of lost it. I was maybe a little depressed. You know, it was difficult. It was,
you know, we didn't really ever
I thought it would be.
Diagnose it, because I'm sure there were other mothers that went through it. We didn't go to any support group. You know, I'm pretty sure that there were probably places and people that we could have talked to talk us through it, because understanding 14 years in between, you know, having a kid for you physically, being pregnant, you know, for me, you know, being the father of an infant at the time. And then, of course, with my other two, I was not, you know, primarily in the home at the time. You know, they were, you know, we were sharing, you know, parental duties, but those kids lived with their mom. So, you know, when they were in those stages, you know, I was not there every night to tuck them in. I was not there every night with their mothers, of course, after they were born. I was not there every night for a lot of the early childhood. I was there when they were in my home and in my care, but this was different. This was actually being in the home with the baby 24/7 and overnight. And for you, physically, the physical changes and the struggle that you went through, that we went through to get you to the point to even being able to have Braylon, you know, which is a story in and of itself that, you know, I think, you know, bears being told. But yeah, man, it was crazy. Like, you wilded out. Like, I tell you these things now and you think about it and you just have no recollection of them. And I can really believe it, because the changes that were happening to your body were massive at the time. But I mean, you know, to keep the peace and to keep you in a good mental state and not to rock the boat. I mean, you know, we were still on our, you know, well, I was on my entrepreneur journey, so it was a little bit easier for me because I didn't have to get up. It might have been even worse if I had to get up. But, you know, you instructed me pretty forcefully, by the way. I won't say that you grabbed me by my collar and pulled me in by my shirt, but, you know, you were pretty adamant about the fact that if you had to get up, I had to get up.
That is so weird.
And I was just sitting there watching you breastfeed, and you were having trouble breastfeeding for a while too.
I think that a lot of it for me, I was imbalanced, you know, with the pregnancy. And I think that there were twinges here and there where I had a little bit of resentment towards you for making me pregnant. And then not having to deal with all of the stuff I had to deal with to carry the baby. So sometimes looking at you was just like, you just stuck this baby off in me and you free. That's not like cool.
I don't think that's uncommon.
I don't think
especially
it's
during the labor. You know, you've seen a lot of, you know, TV shows and comedies, or just, you know, in real life, and talking to people, like, in the moment when you're going through the labor and the pain is excruciating, you know, women having some resentment for the husband because they're not experiencing the pain. We're just kind of standing there.
Well, I didn't really have that issue during delivery. You were so sweet and so present and so loving in that moment, because you were having that experience, I think, for the first time too, right?
I saw my oldest daughter be born. Did not see my son born. He was born in Baltimore, and then they moved back. I don't think I was as close and as involved as I was with my oldest daughter, though, as I was.
Well, sure. We were together. It was, you were there for the whole thing, like from the beginning to the end.
I watched you know,
I mean, the
little one,
pregnancy too.
Yes, I was there for the entire pregnancy too, which was different. This is the first time, so I wasn't, you know, with the mothers of those kids when they were pregnant every day. You know, I was coming over, visiting, you know, everything cool, what you need, that kind of thing. But we were in the household together every night, and I was there during the process of them inducing the labor. Like, it was different because it was not like your water broke and we had to rush you to the hospital. We knew that you were going in. We had it arranged. The room was there. All of that was there. I was hunkered down to be there for that day. We knew what time it was happening. I was standing there as, you know, our youngest popped out of you. I saw all of that, like, in graphic detail. I saw the head pop out. I saw the whole thing. It's an experience.
Did you cut the cord?
I cut the cord. I did all of that. And by the way, if you are a gentleman listening to this, it is an experience unlike any other that you will ever experience. And I would challenge and ask every man that has the ability to be able to do it, that you are in the delivery room and that you actually see your child being born and coming out and cutting the umbilical cord. I did all of that, all of the traditional stuff that was there, and it made the experience different.
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience with the other kids, but it made the experience with this particular kid different. Starting off from the very beginning, getting it right, having the opportunity to start over again and get everything right and be there from the very beginning on. But yeah, you told me that I had to watch you breastfeed, and I would be exhausted.
That didn't last long, though. I let you off the hook.
It didn't last long because
the
breastfeeding was not going well. We
so
tried
you
every
tell me
minute.
I didn't let you off the hook before I decided to stop breastfeeding?
You let yourself off the hook because the breastfeeding was painful. We tried everything. You got the nipple guard. You did all of that.
There was a lot of frustration for me too because my first experience with breastfeeding went so well. I breastfed my son till he was 11 months. So I was really, like, I wanted that. I knew that was happening. That was significant to me. I wanted to breastfeed. So I felt a little like a failure, and I had a lot of emotional stuff happening. And I felt like I was going through so much stuff and you didn't have to go through anything. So in my mind, I was processing all of that and actually projecting it onto you. So sorry about that.
I mean, it was a learning experience. I think I needed to be in that too because I had kind of missed those experiences too. So some of it, I was like, I kind of need to be in this. I need to be experiencing this because she is going, 14 years again is a long period of time in between kids. It's not very many people do that. You might have a 7-8 year period in between 4 or 5, but 14 years.
And only pregnant, like only carried a baby once.
Yes.
Then I had the anxiety of all the ectopic pregnancies. There were a slew of ectopic pregnancies, all of which I didn't really know how to manage the emotion that came with that. But eventually I started realizing that I was actually losing a life and I was carrying a life. Like, that had a whole toll on me over and over. It seemed like over and over for a while I was just having these ectopic pregnancies and wanting to stop, but still praying at the same time that we had a girl, and it was a lot of pressure. My spirit was under a lot of pressure during that time. My body was under a lot of pressure during that time. And I just wasn't myself. You calling it wilding out, but I mean,
on my end, it was just wilding out.
But I really was going through some stuff. Like, it was really tough.
Yeah, and I can imagine that. So, for the ladies that are listening, kind of explain the medical procedure because, we had, it wasn't for a lack of trying. We were trying to, we had made the decision that we wanted to have a baby that was ours. A product of you and I. We already had kids.
To bridge our families.
To bridge the family. So, we had already, I had my 2 kids. She had her son. We had a blended family. But we did not have a kid of our own that was a product of the 2 of us. So we made a decision that we wanted to do that. And we were really, really trying. And, you were getting pregnant on several different occasions, and it ended every time. But there was a reason why it ended every time, not just for the spiritual reasons. I'll get to that in a second, but what was going on for women who might be experiencing that, so you can kind of explain to them what the doctor was telling you and what the procedure was, and then what happened when the floodgates opened.
So I don't want to call the actual procedure by the wrong name, so I'm not even going to attempt. Well, I'll try, but y'all give me grace. I think it's a laparoscopy. They had to go into my fallopian tubes. First of all, after I'd done all of these ectopic pregnancies and had gone to one or two doctors, I finally went to one who was just like, "You ever had this done?" I was like, "Nah." She was like, "This is the problem." So they went in and cleaned out the debris from my fallopian tubes, and they did it with some dye or something like that. Y'all are probably familiar with it. But that was after several failed pregnancies due to ectopic. They would get into my tube and couldn't get any further. Mm-hmm. That pain was horrible. I remember doing surveys. I used to have to travel to survey nurse aid training programs throughout the state. And I remember one time I had gone to a pretty far north place in the Delta. I can't remember which city. And on my way back, I had this shot of pain. I had to pull over on the side of the road and just kind of pray. I couldn't drive. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't do anything. It was a horrible pain. That was probably close to, I think I had 4 or 5 ectopic pregnancies. That was probably number 3. And so then I would have to have, after I had this laparoscopy, then I had to do steroids I had to do 2 different types of procedures. And at this point, honestly, I don't remember which one of them came first, but it was 2 different things. So I'd have to go every other day to get steroid shots right here. Mm-hmm. So it was this whole thing that was going on with my body. I felt like my body was like, failing me. I felt like God did not want me to have this baby. It was a whole bunch of stuff. And then I got pregnant. Couldn't tell him for a while. Didn't want the disappointment. When I finally did tell him, we still decided we weren't going to tell anybody else because we didn't want to disappoint other people. And nobody knew outside of us that these ectopic pregnancies were going on, because they just became to be so many that it was just like, okay, look, this is crazy.
There were like 6.
Yeah, it was quite a few.
Like you were pregnant 6 times and had ectopic pregnancies 6 times before the little one got here. And it got really frustrating. And I know it was frustrating for you and it was painful. But, to get pregnant 6 times, because that's not something that, you can go in. It's not an exact science.
It was soul damage. It was soul damage because I wanted a daughter. I knew it was going to be a girl whenever this baby came. But I wanted a daughter. I wanted a baby with you. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to understand what was going on with my body, because it seemed to be rejecting you. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, that's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. But finally, after this procedure, maybe 2 weeks, I was pregnant. Almost instantly, I was pregnant. The next time I went to the doctor for the checkup from the procedure, I was pregnant.
Literally, that procedure is what needed to happen.
Yeah. And it had been so many years. We never even thought to do anything like that.
6 times.
Didn't know that existed.
And the egg just was not making it to where it needed to get to. Soon as the pathway was cleared, boom. Because it wasn't for lack of trying. I was in there shooting it up, buddy.
And then after I had the baby and had my tubes tied and burned and clipped, I still got pregnant again. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And that
Another one.
That was just really the good Lord saying that, sir, I know there's no way you can handle this. I'm just going, and that happened, I think, too, because speaking about your thing, like I had twins that were stillborn that died with my son's mother. And it was almost like the universe was saying, you're not ready. We know you're not ready. I don't even think I was ready when any of them got here anyway, not even the little one. But when I look back on it, it's a possibility that I could have had at least maybe 8 or 9 kids running around here.
Now look, if they was gonna be with me, we would have stopped. We probably could have easily had 4 together.
Easily.
I mean, but I would have stopped
even,
after that. We would have had to make some other decisions.
Maybe after 2, it might have been 3. Probably would have happened. I don't think we would have got to 4. But just thinking about, I mean, it was almost like every time, like we could have easily had, you know,
a small African village,
3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old walking around here.
Sure.
Easily.
Sure.
And I think we probably got some grace to that effect.
Well, I think that there was a higher purpose for us, and I think that had we had those children, we would have gotten off track from the purpose that we have in life.
Because children are a responsibility, as puppies are.
Yeah.
You know, when I grew up, you know, we treated our pets in a much different fashion than they are treated today.
You mean like dogs?
Yes.
Or cats? Now they are babies.
They're babies. People consider them to be family members. Like the concept of an inside dog when I was growing up was null and void. It did not exist. Dogs did not come inside. They did not belong inside. And if they did, it was only happening in white neighborhoods. Every kid that had a dog that was in my neighborhood growing up, they had a dog in the backyard. They had a dog house. It was in the fence. You took the food out there to the dog. You went out there and you played with the dog occasionally. And that was your pet. There was no bringing the dog inside. There was no getting dog smell on the furniture. It wasn't traveling with the dog. You would go on vacation. We go on vacation for 2 weeks during the summer, and you take food out there to the dog, and this is what you got till we get back.
That's crazy, but
that's crazy,
true.
But that's what happened. And now, if you did that, you know, someone would call the authorities on you. The fact that they have puppy hotels and they have, you know, puppy, you know, whatever you want to call it now these days for dogs to be able to go to, like, it's just a different day and time.
You know, I don't recall, we had several pets when I was growing up. I don't recall ever even seeing a bag of dog food.
Oh, yeah, they got scraps.
The dogs ate scraps. They ate
scraps.
Whatever was left over from dinner. That's what you took out there to the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. I don't recall ever bathing a dog, ever. I think I remember a couple of times where there may have been like mud or excessive dirt on the dog, and we take the water hose and spray them down.
That was it.
And that was that.
Definitely with the hose. That was it. And usually, like for us, there was a patch of dirt in our backyard where the dog was. The dog had run around so much that the grass wouldn't grow. So there was just a patch of dirt in that area. They had a dog house. You know, you put something nice inside the dog house. You put the bowl in there. They were on a chain or on a leash. And you went out in the back and you fed the dog. And that was it. You went outside. And now that I think about it, you know, we wasn't doing anything with the dog at all. We weren't walking them.
No.
We go out to the back.
They exercised in the yard.
They exercised in the yard, pulling the chain. And, you know, you guys are hearing this right now. This is what actually happened. This was
and it's
the
not
black
just,
experience.
This was commonplace. This is not just our experience. This was commonplace.
Right.
Everybody in my neighborhood dog got this experience. We had one lady who had a house dog, and her name was Missy in my neighborhood. And Missy acted different from all the other dogs in the neighborhood.
Probably like the bougie.
She was the bougie dog in the neighborhood. She came outside, hated being outside, and would go right back in. You know, but that was my only experience too, an inside dog. And it was weird to me then because I didn't have any understanding of that.
Right.
Having said all that, the puppy that we have now is absolutely adorable. I absolutely love Rocco.
Puppy.
And I cannot imagine putting him in the backyard and just letting him be back there. Like, that's crazy.
He's too tiny right now.
He's not going to get much bigger. He's going to be a small dog.
Like now, when I take him out in the back to let him kind of frolic and do some puppy frolicking, the backyard looks way too big. It looks expansive. It looks like a drop in the bucket because he's so tiny. Yeah. And he still only kind of bounces around in one area. But, you know, giving the opportunity to touch grass and go outside and that kind of thing, I would only suggest for us having you know, a puppy that we can have on the inside.
Yeah.
And being small enough to do that now.
For now, until we have enough room for the real dog, because there's only one real dog, and that is a golden retriever. And
that's your preference.
That's gonna happen.
And those, my experiences.
I know you a little tainted.
I'm not tainted.
Be okay.
You know what I'm saying? They were cool. I mean, I had love for them, but I'm also traumatized. We did have a golden retriever lab mix. A mother had a litter of puppies that, you know, we gave out to a few friends here and there, and then we kept one of the sons, the most rambunctious of the sons that we found out at some point, and that dog grew to the size of, I would say, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a small dinosaur that you would see on Jurassic Park. He grew to that size. And we had him in the backyard, and I had to literally dress for war every time I went out there to feed him. And he was playing. He thought that I was out there to have fun with him. And he was literally so strong that after a while, it became a chore. The mother was a gift, of course. I don't know if I told y'all the story. The mother was a gift to my bride when I was trying to win her back. I was trying to woo her back and court her back. And I bought her this puppy, Sheba. Not, you know, fathoming the fact that this puppy would grow into a dog and have puppies of her own. They didn't think about that because at the time I was just trying to get my wife back. So she could have asked me to buy her. I wasn't his wife at the point. I was trying to get my woman back and make her my wife again. So really, she was at a point where she could have asked me for anything and I would have gotten it. She took advantage of that fact. She could have asked me for a crocodile or a camel, and I would have went out and I would have found them at that time. At whatever cost, I would have gotten it and brought it back. A puppy seemed like a pretty docile thing.
And we weren't living together at the time, so you didn't even have to deal with the puppy. You just got him.
And then I did, and then it turned into a thing, and then it turned into my responsibility once the baby got here. The baby got here, and then your love for the puppy dwindled, and then I became the primary caregiver for those two dogs.
My love for Sheba did not dwindle.
Your love for the baby superseded your love for Sheba. And there's no problem with that because that was our human baby. There was no problem with that. No disrespect to any of the fur parents that are out there. We understand that this is a different day and time. For me, it was just a process of learning. So now we've got a tiny puppy that, you know, is getting acclimated to being able to, I'm really scared of kind of stepping on him right now because he's so tiny. So we're letting him get acclimated, and eventually he will have the run of the house. And, you know, once he's trained, and we won't have to worry about him, you know, jumping on me or, you know, accosting me in any way physically because he's only going to be a small.
I'm just really excited about having it. There is definitely a connection that humans have with their pets.
Sure.
And I'm just really excited about everybody in the household being able to experience that, you know, watching it from my daughter's point of view and seeing how she's dealing with it, and then watching you and then me, and everybody has their own different relationship with the puppy, and it's just really kind of joyful. It's a joyful experience. So I'm really glad we're here at this point in our lives.
So switching gears a little bit, something that I want to talk about before we get out of here. Our condolences, of course, go out to DC Young Fly on the passing of the mother of his kids. A very tragic story, very tragic turn of events, sudden tragic turn of events. But, you know, we were talking about this, and I wanted to talk about it on this particular episode because, you know, we talked about, you know, as we do in the bed every night, some of the conversations that we have that we bring to you guys. You know, Kanye's mother, you know, dying on the operating table, getting cosmetic surgery. DC Young Fly's, you know, the mother of his kids, going to get a mommy makeover and dying on the table, and how this has happened to several people. And the conversation has come up again about cosmetic surgery and the dangers of cosmetic surgery. And we are in the day and age of the BBL. And there are obvious dangers that are going along with this. And I know you did a little bit of reading on it and you had some background on this particular doctor. But as a woman, and you know, we've had these conversations before, and the popularity of cosmetic surgery, although the dangers are there. And then you have people who are doing these bootleg procedures that people are going to as well. People are putting their lives in possible danger for cosmetic reasons, for whatever reason. And again, this is not Kaz and Queen telling you what to do with your money, and we are not passing judgment if that's what you want to do with your body. But we would be remiss if we don't talk about the obvious dangers that exist, because a simple procedure in both of these instances, you know, with Donda West and with DC Young Fly's baby mama, these were seemingly regular procedures that went left, and these people did not live these people didn't live past going in for this procedure. So as a woman, you know, just what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the mommy makeover and the BBL craze and that kind of thing? Do you think it's something that's really worth it?
Yeah, if you're talking about the worst end of it being death, I'd have to say no. But, you know, any surgery you have runs the risk of death, you know. So, but I guess the point here is that you're choosing the surgery instead of something that's life-saving. Mm-hmm. And that's just a matter of the individual and what they want. You know, we live in this world where these people build their life. Jackie O was an influencer. So mm-hmm. her whole brand was about her body and her image. So this to her was something that was necessary. It wouldn't be that necessary for me, but it was necessary for her. So she was investing in her business when she went to have a mommy makeover. Yeah. Because her body and her image was her business.
Right.
So it's understandable that she would do it, you know. I can't pass judgment on her decision to do that. But I you know, it's a tragedy, but it's a risk that you run, because from what I understand, if you're pulling fat, if you get that fat into any blood vessel, you're gonna die.
Yes.
And that could easily happen. It's an easy mistake to happen.
Yes.
In fact, this particular doctor, his name is escaping me, but the particular doctor that she has several malpractice suits against him. Mm-hmm. So, and that is not to say that he's not a good doctor as much as it is to say that this can happen.
Yes.
So it's unfortunate. It's really sad. I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to do that, but I will say that at some point we're going to have to start prioritizing what's important to us and how much effort and energy we're putting into some of these things, and do they deserve all the effort and energy that we're putting into it? Mm-hmm. Because now, you know, what's the legacy here, you know, for Jackie O. So it's just sad. I'm saddened by it. Mm-hmm. I don't really necessarily, it could have happened to anybody. Really, literally anybody. It could have happened to anybody. Yeah. So it's unfortunate that she left 3 children. Unfortunate that I'm sure her and DC Young Fly had future plans, yes. You know. So that's all unfortunate. And I don't know how to go from here to explain to women that you are beautiful with your stretch marks and with your fupas and your cellulite. All of that is just beautiful. And as soon as we learn to understand that, and as soon as we are able to put ourselves out there and take ownership of that and understand that that is just a part of being a woman, yeah, then we will probably not see as many people finding themselves needing to have their body be their brand.
Right. For me, as a man, I can't speak to, you know, what women feel like they should do. I'm a huge proponent, and I've told you this very same thing. I'm a huge proponent of doing what makes you feel good. doing what makes you feel beautiful. If getting the breast enhancement, if getting a BBL, if getting, a nip and tuck, if that is what's going to make you feel good as a woman, I'm all for it. But at the same time, as a father, for me, death is a possibility for every procedure that exists. There have been people who have gone in for medical procedures and did not walk out of the hospital for very simple things. For things just as simple as a hip replacement or a broken ankle or replacing a tendon. Anything, and have not walked out of the hospital. It is a possibility when you go in there. But for me, if it is something health related, for me, that would warrant the risk of death. I don't agree with risking death for something cosmetic. I don't think it's that important. That's just me. It may hold much more importance in your life, but if, for me, cosmetic surgery, if there's a chance where I could die, then it's something that I wouldn't do. Tattoos, it's the same fashion. If there were people who, and I'm sure there has in the history of getting tattoos, if there was a chance you could go to the tattoo parlor and die from getting a tattoo for some reason or other, the chances are I probably wouldn't have them. And you could probably still die from getting a tattoo if you go in with the wrong person who's not licensed and they've got the wrong equipment. You could maybe die on the spot. Maybe you could bleed out on the spot. Maybe it could be something later. Everything has a risk to it, but you try to minimize that risk in life is what you try to do at the end of the day. And if it's something that can be fixed through other means, it's just not important enough to risk your life and risk not being here for your kids for a procedure that you are doing because you're an influencer or because, you have to look a certain way.
Well, baby, you have the right to that opinion.
Yes, I do.
However, just because it's not important enough to you,
I get it.
Does not mean that it's not important enough to Jackie O.
Yes.
Or to any other influencer out
Right.
there. We're not here to make that judgment. I can't make that judgment because I cannot righteously sit here and say that if I was an influencer and my body is what got me all my jobs and paid my bills and helped me see after my family and put food on the table, and that was how I made ends meet. I can't righteously sit here and say that if I had the money to do it, I wouldn't do it. I can't do that. But I get what you're saying.
I agree.
I just think that we're in a different position in our lives than they are in their lives as far as what our priority list looks like.
It's the same.
So we don't get to judge what their priority is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It's the same instance if you're an athlete and your skill set begins to dwindle and you decide to take steroids. Your body can be completely ravaged, as we've seen it, by steroids. It can hurt you physically and it can hurt you mentally as well. It can bring you a chemical imbalance. You get roid rage. There are athletes who have killed their families because they're on steroids, but they took those steroids because they made their money by being athletes and they needed to be able to perform at a high level. So they took steroids. For me, is it that serious? You can look at it in that same sense. If I'm an athlete and my skill set is dwindling and there are younger athletes that are coming in and could possibly take my role on this team, and I can take these steroids and these steroids can help to enhance my performance, even though I know that there's a downside to it, yeah, that's exactly the same thing.
Well, what I would like to add before we close out, is that what I think we need is more information, more medical information and education on what's actually happening when you get these procedures.
Right. What's
being happened. Because all we know is what it looks like when you come out. And, some people will kind of cover their procedure and, walk us through but we need to know medically what is happening when you go in here, when you pull out, where you getting this from and where you putting it at, and when you put it in, where is it going and what is it doing? How is it effective? Why is this working? Why is it not working? Make that as public as you're making the picture before and after.
Right.
I think that people would be more inclined to have a second thought if they had more information about what could go wrong.
Explaining the procedure.
Right. Putting that information out there more publicly instead of just the cosmetic part of it. I think we deserve to know that. And these influencers have, it's not really up to them to tell us. So maybe it's up to the doctors and professional people with this experience to tell us.
And it also could hurt their business if they are really.
So nobody really wants to tell it.
I mean, that's the way with real doctors. Real doctors don't want to tell you about holistic remedies, about curing yourself, because that means that you won't be going to them. We all know this.
Yes.
So it's not like these cosmetic surgeons are going to divulge the fact. You saying something like, if fat gets into the bloodstream, if any of this fat that's being injected gets into your bloodstream, you're dead.
Yeah. Like instantly.
Like, people don't understand that fact. That was my first time hearing that. But, having a doctor, and are the doctors saying this to you in your consultation when you're getting ready to get this procedure? Are they telling you this? Because if I'm sitting there and the doctor says, and there are men who are getting cosmetic surgery as well. There's this new thing now where these guys are going and they're getting these 6-packs installed, and they're getting, their abs and their chest and all of that stuff together. And it's happening for dudes as well. It's become a thing, but are they telling you, look, man, you coming in here, you get this and look this, but if any ounce of fat gets into your bloodstream.
Once. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Nothing medical was sold to me. Not a single thing. What they told me was, here's where I'm cutting, here's where I'm taking from, and here's what you're going to look like.
And they did not say if any of this that I cut gets in your bloodstream.
No, but it was an initial consultation. So maybe after I came in, decided that I was going to do it, maybe then I would have got that. But once he gave me the price, I was like, nah, I could spend that money somewhere else.
Right.
But that was just me.
Yeah, I mean, if you got, again, we talked about this on the last show, if that money is like a drop in the bucket for you, you got to save it up.
Even if it ain't. If you save all the money you have for this procedure,
do it.
That's up to you. However, I do think that now that we're seeing these things happen, I think that we need to be more informed. We need to do a little bit more research than who's had the procedures and what do they look like now. We need to go beyond that to kind of understand what's happening with our bodies when these procedures are actually occurring.
And understand that there are more people than Donda West and Jackie O who have died from these procedures. There's a lot of people that you don't even know that have died from these procedures. And there's a lot of people who have gone to these bootleg folks, shade trees, back alley, back room, cosmetic surgeries is happening where these people are, I've seen where they pump, concrete into your silicone, all these things. People that aren't licensed, like
that was a lady who was doing Fix-A-Flat.
Yes,
you remember that?
Fix-A-Flat. It's crazy because it's just social media is not a real place, ladies and gentlemen, and we tell you this over and over again, and we said this on this show. To go to someone to have them to inject you with Fix-A-Flat or with concrete or some of the other things that I have seen and doing the research with seeing people that we don't know, that don't have the name of Donda West and Jackie O, that have died from these procedures on the table because they went to a bootleg person because they wanted cosmetic surgery so bad that they were willing to cut corners and go get it done. Black folk, we are notorious for being able to go and try to, get the hookup and
find a quick way out.
Trying to find a quick way up. We are notorious for that. It's not exclusive to us. I'm not saying that white people don't do it. They do it as well. But, that's our thing. What's the hookup? Let me find it. If I can find this same procedure and get it for, this price. This person might not be licensed, but this person over here is doing the BBLs in their back room, or they're doing installations in the back room, or whatever the case is. This stuff can kill you. It is life-threatening.
At the end of the day, there isn't anything that's more important than you living and breathing.
That's it.
That's
Somebody
the bottom line.
Somebody wants you to be here. And you are beautiful. And you are worthy in the body that God gave you. And y'all should always just remember that if you're thinking about it. If you end up doing it, that's cool. But, again, Donda West went to one of the top cosmetic surgeons in the game. She's the mother of Kanye West. She could pay top dollar for it. Jackie O was going and paying top dollar. Even this person that had these malpractice suits. These are people that could go and pay top dollar for top cosmetic surgeons, okay? People that don't have that kind of money, y'all are possibly going to people who could really actually put your life in danger.
But it don't matter how much money you have, and it doesn't matter if it's a top surgeon. They can make mistakes too.
Yes, all of them can make mistakes.
These mistakes can cost you your life. So is it really worth it at the end of the day? I don't know. I mean, you got to ask yourself that. Because, I mean, I'm sure he's done thousands of these. Maybe he has lost 2 or 3, maybe. But those 2 or 3 are significant to their families.
Yeah. I mean, heart surgeons lose patients. Neurosurgeons lose patients. OBGYNs lose patients. You know, unfortunately,
surgery is
cosmetic surgeons are losing
always
patients,
risky.
You know, so, you know, for me, going in and going to a heart surgeon or a neurosurgeon or a brain surgeon or somebody that's helping you to survive life, that to me is more important than saying you lost your life on the table because you was going to try to get a fat ass.
Not important, more significant.
I think your life is more important than you getting a fat ass. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. All right. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We appreciate you guys, of course, for joining us. You know, good talk. Good talk. You know, we're going to be back, of course, next week with more conversations that take place between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home. Y'all make sure y'all following us on social media. Make sure you're checking out Kaz Queen on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter as well. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, make sure you're checking us out wherever you are. If you get ready to have an event, if you're getting ready to have a panel, whatever it is, you know, holler at Kaz Queen. Will come through and we'll turn that thing up for you. Make sure that you do that as well. All right, so again, for another great episode, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is According to Kaz Queen. Peace and power.
Peace.